A man and his DAW should never be parted. Hi, welcome to Our Bookseller with me, Stephen Andrews, writer, bookseller, collector, and off to Zardoz, All You Need Is Books today with Jules Burt to do a book haul and dealer visit. Science fiction excess. Well, we're at the new and improved Allyouneedisbooks.co.uk Zardoz office. Aha! Science Fiction Book Club, UK, without jackets, but very nice boards. Only £1 a piece. Great collection fillers. And of course some of these in hardcover first, which just, cost you the absolute earth.
He was, because, well, this is a magazine, but you've got to tend to buy a pile of books like something like that, and then do a magazine on that particular period. And then he sold it to me. I've not seen this place for a long time.
He worked in the Midland Band, which was a small street, which was just sort of down the road from me.
Look at that,
Yeah.
that's
And he
Kazar
said
before he was in the Marvel Comics. Obviously this is a Marvel magazine.
He lived in the States.
Yeah.
He would go over and he had free accommodation. Come back with his books over there.
Yeah.
So relaxing here in the sumptuous environs of All You Need Is Books, Zardoz, the office space that's open for you to attend. What have I got? Well, there's going to be more later, but we'll have a quick look. So, Michael Moorcock, Ulrich of Melniboné, Arrow. Never ever seen this cover before. And yes, there is going to be a how to read Michael Moorcock video coming, and a few specialist ones. That will happen. Then this is an interesting one, alternate history crime novel by Peter Dickinson, who wrote the Changes trilogy. For kids, he also wrote The Green Gene, which is an SF novel which is in DAW. And this is King and Joker. And there are a couple of these in this series, maybe more. And this, the whole idea is that, let's see, Prince Eddie, who died in the Victorian period in 1892, he survives and he goes on to, sort of become part of the royal pantheon. And it's a whole sort of different royal family than you would have had at the end of the Victorian period. And he becomes a detective. Never read it, always meant to. Haven't seen one for years. Nice Methuen. This is a book which I actually saw on Jules Burt's channel, and he's lurking around in the background filming. And I saw it and I thought, gosh, I want one of those. And it's got a Bruce Pennington cover, and it's Mysterious Sea Stories. Isn't that lovely? Really, really nice. And let's see, edited by William Patrick, whoever he is. And it has the likes of Poe, Marryat, Melville, Doyle, Jack London, Conrad, Kipling, William Hope Hodgson, John Masefield, Wells, Bradbury, C.S. Forrester, a couple of unfamiliar names as well. Really, really nice. I'm going for that as well. This is a book I already have. One of the beauties of buying books you already have is that you don't have to read them because you already read them. And I have this in a B format. This is my favourite Borges, The Book of Sand, and that's an A. And as you can see, that's absolutely lovely with a little tiger on it. I love that cover. Then a writer from my hometown, Pontypridd, and I think he's from my hometown anyway. And this is Alan Richards, and this is a short story collection called The Former Miss Merthyr Tydfil and Other Stories. And it's a penguin. I do know this book, never seen this edition, so it is one for the Welsh Library, as it were, which is tiny, because I buy books from Welsh authors and I sell them on. It always happens. They don't stay in the library long, but this is a really nice one, so it may. And my favourite Welsh writer is Gwyn Thomas, who's brilliant, who I think is better than Dylan Thomas. Now, Morris is hammering away in the background there. He's erecting. It's absolutely fine. You go ahead, mate. He is putting up all sorts of lovely cover artwork for you to feast your eyes on when you visit. And this is one, I had to have this because I was saying to Morris, this was a flashback for me to about when it would have been 72, 73, I'm about 9 or 10. I'm sitting in my front garden, blazing summer day, and I'm reading Return to the Stars by Eric von Danniken. Then Brian Stableford, Challenge Chaos, Door, and this is a UK one from NEL. There we are, and because Brian died recently, this is one of his trippier books. And this is one I've been after for a while. This is rather nice. It's Road Marks by Roger Zelazny in MacDonald. I do like these MacDonald books. Fantastic stuff. So we'll take a close look at that as well later. So they're Australian, you say?
Yeah, you never see the Larry Kent.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it'd be Larry Kent.
Yeah.
It'd be and these would be all sorts of authors.
They're great, aren't
the
they?
Westerns.
Beard Top Babe.
I know that's a good one, isn't it? I know.
That's,
nothing like being blunt.
Yeah,
Right.
direct, yeah.
You have to guess which one it was.
Unknown title. That'd be a great title for a Western. Unknown
Yeah.
title. Blood and Hate.
So I couldn't resist buying a bunch of, and I should have bought, well, I thought it was the same, isn't it? There was still more to buy.
Yeah.
I don't know if she sold them all in the end.
They're
She's
really
very
nice,
good, the
aren't they?
woman, who was in charge of, and then we got all these, Leslie Ack, we got all these.
You also think with a lot of these artists that if they, they obviously work into a deadline and for a certain amount of money, a lot of them, if they'd sat down and they could have done it in their own time, a lot of them would probably sort of get near to Vargas, you know what I mean? It's that thing.
Yeah, no, they were fantastic artists, yeah.
Now, book
they?
covers are so boring now. They're covered in text. They're covered in text. You can't, they're just like, you used to rely just on a really good picture and a good title and the author's name and maybe one line from
These
a
are good,
review.
actually. I've not really realised. No, I've never had these out since I bought them. But they've actually got some of the titles on.
Yeah.
It's always nice to get a title.
Yeah, the Cyanide Girl.
No, Siesta Sisters somewhere, but I'm not sure where she is.
Oh yeah, look, Mr. Tough. With a literal smoking gun there. Wow. And the Woman in Jeopardy. Deadly Cold. Fantastic.
Yeah.
This is two-fisted stuff, isn't it? Gun Shadow. Wow. Brilliant.
Yeah,
If you've got the space, that's okay. If you've got the space, you're allowed to accumulate it. My trouble is I haven't got the space. And I know Mr. Burt as well is suffering from lack of space at the moment. Or so he's hinting to me. So, yeah.
I think no matter what amount of space you've got, you're always suffering from lack of space.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I haven't had all my books on shelves since I was about 14. You know, that's like literally true. Wow. So with the paperbacks then, Morris, are we £1 a pop on these?
Yeah, a pound each.
Good, great.
Well, to be honest, everything pretty much is a pound each.
So there you go. If you're going to
I
visit,
think everything on the two walls, these two side walls, are a pound each, and that back wall there.
Right. So one could
It's just,
easily pop up one's
excess stock.
collection with excess stock. We like excess. Excess is our thing. So all of this is £1 per title. Now, of course, being a condition guy, you know, there's lots of stuff here which is absolutely fine. There's lots of great reading copies here. But Steve really is waiting for the main event in the main warehouse, which is not open to the public, but this is the bit which is. So make an appointment with young Morris and get yourself along. Expand your library enormously for just a few quid. Right, now if you've never been to Zardoz before with me, I'm just going to do a walk around because there'll be a book haul later and you'll see a lot more on Jules's channel. So this is all SF. A to Z by author in paperback. This is all A format. And as you can see, there's lots of it. And we've got zines there. There's Morris doing a bit of sorting. We've got more A format along here. And going right the way back along here. There are other videos in this series on the channel, and we have more SF and fantasy, and there's a bit of horror mixed in as well. I'd say the second corridor is all SF, fantasy and horror, right the way along. Magazines on here. I forgot to make a note of which issues of Impulse I don't have. There's only 2, so that'll be next time. So yeah, so a lot more SF here.
Which I will transfer up to.
Got pan books here. Lots more pan books. And we've got Penguin.
There's nothing special in that, but the weird thing was,
So Penguin Crime. Lots of mystery magazines. More Green Penguins, which are crime, of course. And there's all sorts of A format fiction. There's crime, there's general fiction. There's Corgi, John Creasy's there. And even though I've been half a dozen times here, I've only really done the SF thoroughly, and I need to do the rest thoroughly at some point. More general fiction and crime, all in A format.
Well, yeah,
But you know, the same book, the same printed, multiple copies. That doesn't quite make sense to me.
I had a chap who,
You're right.
A couple of worthies here discussing the books.
I did a chap who
And
was basically a sweet English guy, but he was when he got his sculpture away,
The Office, there we go. And Morris has some issues with lighting at the moment, but so you can see in the other videos there's loads of hardcovers here. I can't actually get to look at the hardcover SF today. Science Fiction Book Club, loads and loads. UK Book Club, that is, of course. And if we just zip through here, this wall here, if I can just squeeze through, this is all westerns. Everything you can see there is westerns, and it makes me realise how little I know about westerns in terms of the sort of mass market stuff. Then we get into sort of 70s Vengeance series, Mac Bolan, that sort of thing. Don Pendleton's Executioner. There's Star Trek and Doctor Who sections. This is mostly trade paperbacks, mostly SF. Tons and tons of it. And yeah, even though I've been here half a dozen times, it continues to be overwhelming in the best possible way. Right, so as you saw, there was some lovely stuff as ever at Zardoz, and I thought we'd go through the book haul now. And yes, I'm wearing a very loud shirt, isn't it fantastic? And basically what I've got here is Road Marks by Roger Zelazny in the UK MacDonald edition. It's ex-library, it's seen a lot of action, but I really, and I've got other copies of it, but I just really love this livery, and I've got lots of other books in this livery. So there you are, Road Marks. Not spectacular, but I'll do some restoration work and cleaning on that. But I'm really pleased to have that, because if you've got a mint copy of this, this is £100 book, seriously. Really, really nice. I'm very pleased with that. So I've got that sorted, and I'll do some restoration and bagging and stuff on that. Okay, so in the main warehouse, you will have seen the other day that I did the collecting the dollar westerns video, and this is a coffin full of dollars, which I reacquired, but this is the same printing as I had when I was a kid, so I really wanted to go for that and get that one. And Morris has got a few of them in really nice nick, actually, and I don't think he's got them listed on the website, so if you're after the dollar westerns, get in touch with him. I did have a look at his westerns. He's got loads and loads and loads, and this needs a bit of a clean up, but yeah, that's the one I recall having. And you notice it doesn't have the dollar on the front, it just has it on the back, so that's a real memory, nostalgia trip for me. Fantastic, great days. The early days of discovering the joy of paperbacks. You can't really go wrong. Something else that I saw the last time I was at Morris's, and it's been ages and ages, and he had different copies of this, is this book by John Christopher, who's a science fiction writer, of course. He's a children's writer, and that's The Sword of the Spirits, and this is a puffin, and it's got Stonehenge on the back, and look at that, absolutely gorgeous. The video widow and I are collecting nice old A format puffins these days. Absolutely lovely, and you can't really go wrong. What date is this from? 1973, so this is actually a first. This is a first paperback. The hardcover was Hamish Hamilton, which ironically is now part of Penguin. So there we go. Rather goes to my shirt, doesn't it, that one? Has to be said. Lovely. Then on to the SF. So got some fantastic stuff. I put some stuff back, as I always do, and I think what we're going to do, let me just have a skim through a moment and prioritize, because we need to prioritize anthologies. I don't know with anthologies at the moment how much further I want to go, because you end up with loads and loads of them and it's like a bottomless pit. But something I didn't have, and I had the other two in this series, and they're not hard to get, is Andromeda 2. There are only 3 volumes, 1, 2 and 3 obviously. Peter Weston was a fan, he edited this. I read his autobiography a while ago. It was published by Nesfa, and you know, this is the nicest copy I've seen. So most of these cost me £1 or a little bit more. Do remember that Morris gives me a discount because we've been chums for a good while. And what's in here? Some great stuff in here. Ian Watson, Bob Shaw, Robert Holdstock, David Langford, Richard E. Geiss, who used to do lots of criticism in a fanzine called The Alien Critic, I think it was. And he was well known for being really acerbic. And there's a few writers I've never heard of, so it's good. It's good to go into the minutiae. And this, of course, is Orbit. And I would say it's from the late 70s Let's see, 1977. There you go. Staggeringly nice stuff. Also on the anthologies front, I picked a few up and I put a few back, but I got a couple of crackers if I can pull them out. Let's have a look. 1, 2, because it's very easy to fall down that rabbit hole. This is something that Kenny RH had a copy of a while ago, and he got it from the Paperback Fair. And had I been there earlier and seen it, that would have been it. And this is the best of Planet Stories, Volume 1, edited by Lee Brackett. What a jacket design. And it's Ballantine. This one's got a slightly faded spine, but Planet Stories, of course, was one of the pulps and one of the more adventure-oriented ones. So it's great stuff in here. Poul Anderson, Lee Brackett, Ray Bradbury, Rocklin, Frederick Brown, H.G. Wells, Raymond F. Galloon, and you can't really go wrong. It says number 1. I don't know whether they did anymore, but this is really uncommon because it's an American book, 1975. But I think you'll agree that's a stunning, stunning jacket. I'm looking forward to bagging that one up. Important stuff. Then I do have quite a few of this series, and this is Isaac Asimov Presents the Great SF Stories. This is volume 3. It's DAW, as you can see. Lovely yellow spine, lovely yellow text block, and broken spine. It's got a sticker there from Forbidden Planet, so I'm going to peel that off. And this is the 1941 volume. So, of course, volume 2 was 1940. And volume 1 was 1939. And as I'm always saying on this channel, where people go on about the Golden Age started in 1939, okay? It wasn't earlier than that. That's why Asimov did some anthologies called Before the Golden Age. The Golden Age starts in 1939. It ends about 1946. And it's entirely defined around the standards that John W. Campbell brought to Astounding magazine. So there's lots of great stuff in here. Let's have a look. Sturgeon, Kornbluth, Eric Russell, Asimov, Van Vogt, Frederick Brown, Alfred Bester, James Blish, and it's all things which are really famous. Like, let's see, we've got, what have we got? Microcosmic God by Theodore Sturgeon, famous story. Liar by Isaac Asimov, one of the robot stories. Adam and Eve by Bester, one of the first Bester stories I read, really good story. Nightfall by Isaac Asimov, which is really, really famous. Virtually every story that is about planetary body that is irregular around a planet, from Three Body Problem back to Michael Coney or any number of things, Philip Jose Farmer's Night of Light, is all from Nightfall. And there's also A Gnome There Was by Kuttner and Moore, Anthony Butcher, really good stuff. And I've got a few of these. There were a couple of the other ones there, but they weren't sort of high grade enough. I'm trying with anthologies now only to buy them if they're really high grade, because it's too easy to fall down that rabbit hole, as I say. Right, what else have we got? Are we going to go chronologically? It's difficult to tell, really. We're going to try and do that. It's probably not going to work, so it's going to be roughly chronological. Maybe we'll do DAW next, because you like a bit of DAW. We all like a bit of DAW. We all love a bit of DAW. So, yeah, we're going to try and go chronological. We're not going to go chronological. We're going to go DAW. The Book of Brian Aldiss. Slightly faded spine, quite a bit faded, otherwise in good nick. I tend to pick these books up when I can. I love Aldiss. I've probably got everything in here, but it's DAW and it's Aldiss, so it has to be done. Brian Stableford died recently. This is a book you see everywhere. This is one of the more common DAWs. It was distributed in the UK. It has a 30p NEL sticker in it. It's DAW number 7, and it's to challenge chaos. It's got a wonderful psychedelic jacket, and it's quite common. This is the nicest copy I've seen for ages, so I decided to pick it up. I'm still trying to decide how completist I'm going with Stableford. I don't think I'm going to go completely, all the way. But he is good, and I like his stuff, but I don't know whether I'd ever get around to reading it all, so it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. Continuing with DAW, let's see, how are we going to do this? Because we've got one author particularly. Let me just sort of move things up and down in the schedule. This is the book I had, and I gave it to a friend because I got the Hamlin cover, which I much prefer. But I really like this cover, and I thought, why did I do that? I give my friend Nick, who's a good friend, so I don't sort of begrudge him of that. But I love this cover, and this is The Lion Game, The second, Talsy Amberden book by James H. Schmitz. I'm not a massive fan of these when it comes to reading them, though I haven't read this one. I've got Sidgwick hardcover, which I showed a while ago. It's Kelly Freyas, I think, and that's his daughter on the cover. She was his model, and it's just a great thing. It reminds me of the X-Men. She looks like a superhero, doesn't she? So marvelous stuff, and she is that kind of thing, really. Then Michael Moorcock. I've read all of Moorcock stuff. I think I haven't read the new one, which has only been out a few months. I haven't read Tales from the Texas Woods, which I've had aside for ages. I've read pretty much everything else. I've even sold some of my Moorcock collection. This is one of the early books. I have an NEL hardcover first of this, which is beautiful. It was a Savoy paperback before that. This is the DAW one, and this is the Golden Barge. And from what I recall, The Golden Barge was actually his first novel. He wrote stories before that, obviously. There's things like the Sohan or Sojan, the Swordsman and things. But this is great. And I'd never actually seen it before. I'd seen it on BookTube. Nice yellow spine and yellow text block and The Golden Barge. Great little book. Love it. Fantasy. And really wild cover. What is that about? Who knows? Then a sequence of books, which I have UK first editions of, and they're all from different publishers. They're one of my favourite sequences by Moorcock, and that's the Oswald Bastable series, Nomad of the Time Streams, Nomad of Time. They get different things appended as titles to the omnibuses, and this is the first one, and this is The Warlord of the Air in DAW. If you put a dirigible on the cover of a book, I will buy it. It's that simple. I do love my dirigibles. So there we go. And I guess I was seeing The Hindenburg as a film when I was young. So fantastic stuff. These are alternate history, of course. They're also arguably proto-steampunk. I generally think the only steampunk is the 80s stuff by Jeter, Powers and Blaylock. Anything else is fudging it. The stuff after that is kid stuff, people wearing goggles over their hat and not knowing where the term came from. But this is proper proto-steampunk alongside Christopher Priest, The Space Machine in the 70s. So there you go. And that's absolutely lovely. I love these books. They're really good. There's quite a bit of political commentary in them, and Moorcock, of course, was a liberal. Excuse me if I'm coughing and spluttering, because some of these are quite dusty. And I have had a beer before I come back, but I haven't wet the whistle since we got home. Me and Jules had a catch up in the pub, as we do. And anyway, the second one in the series is The Land Leviathan. There we go. And a DAW. And they were all three of them there, so I thought I was just going to get Warlord of the Air. Then I saw the other two, and I love this cover. Look at that beautiful yellow text block, doesn't it? Really sort of go for it. Not a bad spine as well. Land Leviathan, that's a great one. And then the third one, different cover art. It's much later. There were big gaps between these books. Not so keen on the cover of this, but it is good. And it is Joe Stalin as a robot with scythes for hands. And that's the Steel Tsar. Great stuff. Really, really good. There was never a hardcover of this. The paperback original UK, the Granada one, was the original. So there you go. They're this smart. I don't know if this preceded it. So I'm going to have to check into that. Yeah. I'm not sure. And this is dedicated to Michael Moorcock's creditors, who remain a permanent source of inspiration. There you go. Jobbing writer, as they say. Then, we've done DAW. We're going to do a little bit more Moorcock, though. And I'm just going to give these a little brush. And a while ago, I decided that I was going to pick up some of the liveries and covers, which I didn't have and I'd always liked. And we come on to Coram. And I've read the Coram book several times, and I've got all sorts of different editions. I've had loads of different editions. But I decided to pick up the quartet ones with the Patrick Woodruff covers. And I managed to get the first one in Hay a few months ago. And I thought it would be easy, but it wasn't. So I got the Bull and the Spear. So today I managed to get the Oak and the Ram. These are quite scarce now. Patrick Woodruff used to do lots of books and album covers. He did album covers for prog rock bands like Green Slade. And really great artist, really immediately recognisable. And I really like these quartet books. Quartet are still going, which is good. I thought they were defunct now, but they're still around. They've done some interesting work over the years. They did some of the Jerry Cornelius books as well, which are beautiful. And here's The Sword and the Stallion. And this, of course, is the second Coram trilogy, because there are two trilogies. And I am looking for, I'm missing one of the Allison and Busby hardcovers. and they have Keith Roberts illustrations, and I'm trying to track down one of them. I'm not going to tell you which one, but I'm really desperate for that. So there you go. But I think you'll agree these are absolutely stunning, aren't they? Look at that. Fantastic. And they've got that sort of Celtic feel to them. And I always think myself that they're set in like a psychedelic version of Cornwall. Is what I always think about these. So there we go. If you haven't read them, they're great. Sword and sorcery with a very trippy edge. Can't go wrong, really. Then this is a Panther. This is a book which is a great cover. And it's very, very uncommon. And I've been trying to pick up this series in their first editions from, let's see, from Golank's Yellow Jackets. They're not first editions, they're UK first hardcovers. And at the same, and I'm missing one of them. I've got a really nice tour omnibus of all of them. And you probably guess, we're not talking about Earthsea. We're talking about before that. There was a sequence of 3 early Hainish books, Worlds of Exile and Illusion, and this is City of Illusions, and this is a fantastic bit of art by Chris Foss. Panther, of course, this is from, let's have a look, it's got some Browning on it, doesn't say when, 1973, so it's not a reprint, so this is a 1973 Granada paperback first, and really, really nice. I love that artwork. And to try and get one of these with an unbroken spine, it's not top grade, but it's not bad at all. Some people would say that this is, you know, like immaculate. It's far from it. It's got lots of marks on it. I need to put some quite sort of strong stuff on there to get that off, but that's absolutely lovely. Great little book. I must reread those, actually. Then a bit of military SF, a book which was done in the Venture series by Arrow, initially Hamlin, then they became Arrow in the late 80s. And this is the sort of zombie soldiers space opera, you know, which is quite sort of brutal stuff. And this is We All Died at Breakaway Station by Richard C. Meredith, and this is a Ballantine one, paperback original. I haven't looked inside to see if it's the first printing. I did have the Venture one, but I got rid of it because of a leaning spine. But you know, this is quite sort of serious anti-war military SF, good stuff. Bit of slam dunk, bit of slam dunk. A bit of slam dunk adventure for you. There you go, nice stuff. I buy very little like that because I'm generally not a massive fan of it, but that's good stuff. Then a book which I don't think I've ever seen it, and it's by Mick Farron, who was a rock critic, a rock star, a science fiction writer, really cool guy, and he did a lot of SF books when he was old. He did all sorts of things, and this is The Feelies, which of course implies the Feelies in Brave New World, which is basically virtual reality. And this is in Del Rey, very nice, 1980s. I don't think this ever had a UK edition, and it's his first time in print. So this is probably a first printing, but very, very nice. I don't snap up everything I see by Farron, but I am fond of him. And he's very countercultural, very cool, yeah. So you can't really go wrong, really. The Feelies, very pleased with that. Absolutely chuffed. Then Silverberg. Now, of course, I got tons of Silverberg. I'm not quite a completist, but I am in a certain period. And this is one I have read. I used to have a hardcover first of it, and it's a children's science fiction novel. And I've always wanted this one. It's always been hard to find a good nick. It's got a Jim Burns jacket, and this is The Gate of Worlds. Very nice indeed. And it's in Magnum, Methuen. Really, really good. And I think is it late 70s? So I used to have a hardcover first of it. 78 was the hardcover, 1980. Really, really nice. Excellent. And of course, this was out of print at the time I started in book trade. So 4 years after paperback, it was gone. I don't think it's been reissued since. Lovely. That was quite a big omission from the Silverberg collection. The spine's quite faded, but it's very, very solid. And the front of the jacket, which I really wanted for, was fantastic. If I ever see a better one, I'll upgrade, but it is what it is. Something that Morris had was he had a more or less complete set of these sword and sorcery books by Richard Kirk, who is, of course, Robert Holdstock. Is it Robert Holdstock writing with somebody else? And that's an Achilleos cover, of course. And Raven, Sword Mistress of Chaos. And I did consider getting all of them, Most of them fairly good, Nick. Some were better than others, but I decided just to go with the one because am I really going to read them? I probably read this one, that would do me enough. With fantasy, usually one volume is enough for me, but Sword and Sorcery is different. Speaking of fantasy, this isn't really fantasy. I think this is SF, but it's packaged as fantasy. And this is a book I remember back from the 80s. And let's have a look at the date, 1984. And it's a collection of 2 novellas fixed up into a novel. And this basically is SF, sort of planetary romancy, but it looks like fantasy. It's going to be kind of Lagan influenced. And this is Jane Yolen, Cards of Grief. Jane Yolen's really famous in America, but nobody in the UK knows who she is. Some of her books were published over here in the 80s. Fantasy writer. She won loads of awards. She's done loads of best-selling picture flats for children, sort of big illustrated books, you know, which are flat and full of pictures. And absolutely lovely. And I haven't read anything about her for years, and I thought that was so beautiful I had to have it. Very, very nice. I nearly picked up something else by her, but maybe next time. Right, we end with, you know, one of the finest science fiction writers ever of all time. Very important writer whose work I absolutely love. And I haven't read any for ages. And I do want to go back to some. And this is why I bought this book. Because this is a book I have. And I have a Gollancz SF Classic B format of it, which I bought back in the 80s. And it's in really good nick. And I'm almost afraid to sort of pick it up and reread it. And I would like a hardcover really, but that's going to be a difficult thing. And this is the Sphere edition from late 70s, and it's Samuel R. Delany's Nova, the space opera to end all space operas. One of my few space operas I like, and probably for me, one of the very, very finest. There's going to be a Netflix TV series of this. Of course, Delany is black, bisexual, honorary professor of linguistics at New York State University, and major new wave stylist. Fantastic. And he's still with us. It's the twilight of the idols, the new wave guys. Who have we got left? We've got M. John Harrison, Michael Moorcock, we've got Norman Spinrad and Delany, Charles Platt, and a few of the other more minor guys. James Salis got in touch with me the other day actually online, and we had a nice little exchange, and he thanked me for mentioning his books. I was really touched because, you know, he's a major figure. You know, he wrote Drive, you know, which was made into a film with what's the guy's name, Ryan Gosling. Great film. Nicholas Winding Refn. And yeah, but that's a really beautiful Nova. So it was so beautiful I couldn't leave it there as well, so I had to have it. But I was even more pleased to get some more Delaney's, and they're editions of a series I've got. They're a series I've never read. I've never got round to them, and I was rather put off because they were marketed as fantasy, and you really see them in these editions. These are A formats. It's all A format, as you see, and they were all there apart from the first one, so I'm going to try and pick that up now. And this is the Neverion series, and they're in Grafton, and this is Neveriona, which is the second book in the sequence. Chunky, absolutely lovely. And there is the third book, Flight from Neverion. Honestly, these are really uncommon in good nick. You never see them with unbroken spines. You know, the text blocks are a bit sort of tired, but they are absolutely gorgeous. And the fourth volume, Return to Neverion. So I'm missing the first one in this livery, but it will be mine. Somewhere, somehow, I will find one in near mint like these. So that's the book haul. Very, very nice. 31 books. There are a couple of things which I'm going to pop into the collector's diary instead. And what a great day. And do get in touch with Morris at Zardoz. Try and get along to the office if you want. All the books here are £1. Brilliant. There's loads of great stuff there if you just want to fill up your library. And there's loads and loads of stuff online at Zardoz. All you need is books. He's on ABE. He's got his own website. I'll put all the details up on the screen. And do watch Jules Burt's video of the same visit. What larks we had. This is Outlaw Bookseller signing out for now. Thinking about the restoration job he's got to do on road marks to make it look prettier. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.